No! This is not allowed! Roofs. We have to build them, but most of us hate to build them. There's so many different shapes, styles, definitions and add-ons to consider. If you struggle with building roofs, need some inspiration, or just want to improve your roofing skills, this video series should hopefully be of benefit to you. In part 1 of this series, I'm going to try to teach you all that I know about building gable roofs. That is, the roof which everybody knows and has used at least some point. But before we start, I need to emphasise that we are not focusing on house details in this video. I'm only going to focus on roofs. I'll be working with a completely basic white canvas of a building for each example, but afterwards I'll show you an example of a build style that I think complements gable roofs really well. Anyway, let's go! The gable roof. You all know this as the typical Minecraft roof, but look at it. It's a bit lackluster and we're not in 1.8 anymore. First of all, the building width is an even number of 10 blocks. That's fine, but odd is definitely easier to work with. Let's make it an odd number of 13 blocks first. Next, let's add a slight overhang by adding stairs on the ends and sides. It still sucks, doesn't it? Now let's add upside down stairs underneath. Most of us past the noob stage know to do this, and it does look better than what we started with. Better, but still a bit boring. Now it's time to look at definition. I'll use the acronym CTP. That's colour, texture, pattern. First of all, colour is quite subjective, so work with your environment, the build style that you're going for, and your own personal preference. Texture can be implemented by adding different blocks from the same colour palette. And then there's pattern. Pattern is important, but more on that later. Okay, now shape. Making a roof taller is easy. The most common method goes like this. We place stairs, then we place upside down stairs, and then a block. Stairs, upside down stairs, block. Rinse and repeat. We're still at bare basics though. There's still a long way for us to go yet. Next we have something that really adds some extra oomph to a roof, and that's dormers. Dormers are small attic roofs that jut out of the side of a roof. They also feature a smaller roof of their own. Building them is fairly straightforward. You break out blocks where you want the wall of the dormer to start, and then you gauge the size of your desired window. Once you have the window made, start the roof at your desired height and connect it to the main gable. Just have a little play around with the size of dormers. You can make them large or small, it's up to you. Instead, if you want to, you can even extend the house base up to integrate it into the roof and merge it together like this. Types of dormers vary as much as roof types do. They can be gable shaped, they can be flat, domed, hipped end, conical, gambrel. There's several roof shapes to choose from, but we'll take a look at those in later videos. I think that's a nice looking dormer, so now it's time to decorate. Add some real finesse by putting more shape into the accents or trims of the roof. Nice trim, bro. You can even hang chains or iron bars from them that suspend things. I like to use lanterns. Spawn proofing is also quite important, and pressure plates can be used where necessary to stop mobs partying on your roof. If rustic's your style, imperfection's going to be your friend. Take out the occasional stair or plank and replace it with a slab, a stair, or a plank of a similar colour. Chimneys. Chimneys always make a roof stand out more. They can be functional, housing a hearth or a fireplace, or they can just serve an aesthetic purpose. You could make this neat, rustic, twisted, industrial, the choice is yours. I like adding mine onto the end of a house or an annex to add more shape and detail. Flower baskets. Flower baskets often add much needed colour, texture and depth to a dormer, plus they can be varied to match the local environment. Climbing plants like ivy can be replicated quite easily just by placing logs and leaves to give the impression that they're sprawling up from the foundations. Whilst we're on the topic of local environment, how about building a gable style roof in a snowy biome? Snow doesn't set on stairs, but it sets on solid blocks. Try this trick out. Grab yourself a silk touch shovel, get some snow layers, and then add them in increasing layers towards the edges of a roof. You can imagine that the wind is blowing a certain direction and make it pile up in that corner as snowdrift. I did this recently for a Christmas build, and I was really pleased with the way that it turned out. Make sure that each snow layer is 2 snow layers thick at the very least, because mobs can spawn on a single snow layer, but they can't spawn on 2. If this is your thing, you can add what's known as a fascia, which is in essence the structural support for tiles and gutters. Feel free to change this up a little bit too. I think fences and fence gates are a nice addition, and they're a lot more interesting to look at than just slabs. If you've been raking in copious quantities of diamonds, how about an extension? Maybe a conservatory or a greenhouse. I encourage you all to experiment with colour and shape here and try to match the local environment or build style. Another nice addition would be an awning. You could add functionality to this by turning it into a market stall, maybe have some villagers to trade with, or include some decorated armour stands to substitute a player. Great, now we've just about done everything that we can do with gable roofs. Well, sort of. Now we're going to go over curved roofs. My roof designs normally follow one simple formula with a couple of minor tweaks, and I'm rubbish at writing formulas, so I've put this into words instead. The rule here is n appears n times in a sequence. Take this curve here. You can see the number 1 appears once, then 2 appears twice, 3 appears 3 times, 4 appears 4 times, and so on and so forth. This is the sequence that we're going to be using to get a curvy roof. We're not going to use full blocks though. We're going to use slabs because they impart extra detail, and here is how to implement it. First, mark the centre of each of the sides of your building. However long the building is in blocks, divide that number by 3. Whatever answer you got, align that number of blocks in the centre. I got 7 as this house is 21 blocks long. However many blocks you just placed, half it. My answer here is 3.5, so I'm just going to round that up to 4. Whatever your answer was, build out by that many slabs on each side and put slabs on top of them. For the next layer, subtract 1, but from here on out, that rule that I talked about is going to come into play. For me, the pattern from here is going to go 3 3s, 2 2s, and then a 1. What we do for the next step up is important. We're going to take what we just did, but on this level we're going to push the sides in closer together by 1 block, so bringing them in towards my player, whilst continuing with the number sequence. Build 3 slabs up all the way across the lowest part of the roof lip. We're going to move these towards us by 1 block and then continue as normal. You just have to repeat this process until you come in line with the centre of the house, which is the top of the roof. Once that's complete, the result is a nice curvy gable roof. Earlier on, I said I'd come back to pattern. We changed some blocks around before, but why not add some swirls, diamond patterns, checkerboard patterns, zigzags, or maybe choose another pattern that I haven't mentioned. Patterns can really help to bring out the contours of a roof. As long as there's not too much colour clash, it will finish a roof off perfectly. Another thing that you can do that's quite interesting is invert the number sequence that I demonstrated earlier. I think this would look equally as cool as the other curved roof, and I'm going to be messing around with this soon in other builds in future series. Anyway, I'm now going to give myself the task of throwing all of these ideas into one. Personally, I think the gable roof complements Tudor and fantasy style builds perfectly, so I'm going to build something and integrate every tip that I've shared so far. So sit back and enjoy. There's probably so much more that you could add to these roofs, but I'll maybe follow this up with another video on gable roofs in the future. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the tutorial and that you've learnt something new. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, comment, subscribe and ring that bell. I also have a Discord server now, the link will be in the description. I'll see you all in the next one, but until then, cheers and bye bye.